I'm back here. There we go. All but four boots remaining. I'm meant to go on Facebook. Let's do that. This way I can get the comments over here. And we got a couple of folks out in Riverhead right now. Alex and Carrie are holding their first of the meetings that they are now doing, and that is in Riverhead. It is at one of the restaurants, and they're doing it as a hybrid meeting, which is pretty darn interesting. Doing it as a hybrid meeting where you can tell I shaved, huh? They're doing this a hybrid meeting. So they got a number of folks actually in the restaurant. It's a bagel place. I forget the name. I can see if I can pull it up over here. And also doing the hybrid side of it. So I jumped on there a little bit before just to show some support, participate a little bit, deliver that elevator pitch, and also to just whatever to support Alex in his endeavors. He and Carrie are now involved with the Brickyard. That is the Brickyard Bar and Grill at the Clarion Hotel in Ronkonkoma. So they're going to be helping promote the place with regards to different events, different musical events, etc., that will be taking place at the Bar and Grill. So I know he or they are both very excited about that endeavor that they are on. All of a sudden it seemed like everything's all over the place. We're doing all kinds of things, all kinds of things. And I delivered my little elevator pitch over there. I started talking about events coming up. Alex says, "Oh, well, why don't you mention?" Oh, so what I did speak about my elevator pitch really has to do with helping identify career opportunities, exciting career opportunities for our high school students and perhaps those in transition, but mostly for our high school students, trying to identify and support those careers or support those companies providing those careers. So, what does that mean? There you go. There you go. So, if you have some inkling of an interest in that, you would ask me, so what does that mean? Maybe that's the elevator pitch, right? Not so much as how I get paid or if I get paid on those things. Most of that stuff I don't. But not how you get paid, but what you're trying to do with that elevator pitch is actually elicit a question. Now you've gone from a pitch to a conversation, and that's really what you want to do. Now, I'm sitting over here. I know what I'm going to say. I'm not expecting the camera to say anything to me, right? But what is so I could say what I'd like, and that too. It is a one-way conversation. Not really looking for anybody to comment back. Hopefully, maybe somebody jotted down a note. It's like, oh yeah, we'll go speak to them. Hybrid meetings, a little bit tougher. Definitely a little bit tougher. If this was a Zoom meeting, I could put that contact information in the chat room. How to get in touch with me. If they can, they get in touch with me. If they don't, they don't. So be it. If I was there, hand out a business card. So they either call me, don't call me, that kind of thing. The hybrid stuff, kind of wonder because now they're not sitting there with a computer. I can't give them my card. They're probably not. I don't even know if that was being recorded. They're not going to go back to that. So it makes it a bit more of a challenge on that whole thing. So it really has to be memorable. Really has to be memorable. Something really, truly visual if you're doing a hybrid meeting. So that's where that goes. So June 14th, actually, I'm at the Miller Business Center, and that is from 9 to 10:30. We're going to be talking about that elevator pitch to refocus it a little bit about that elevator pitch, a little intro, how to deliver it differently depending upon the situation that you're in, whether it's hybrid, Zoom, or in person. But still, no matter what, you're trying to get that conversation going. If it's immediate, you're at an event, and physically at an event, then I think it's more of an immediate conversation. If it's hybrid or if it's in a meeting like that, where you're going around the room, you're not going to get the immediate conversation. So it probably has to be more memorable for people to remember to contact you afterwards, as opposed to I'm sitting here, I'm in front of a person, they're telling me what they do. what do I do? I just go into my little blah, blah, blah about what I do, or do I ask some sort of a question? I think a lot of times it's more comfortable asking some sort of a question. So leave it a little bit more open ended when you're speaking to somebody for the first time. And obviously, if you know who they are, all the better. Then you could, well, then you would know really where you're going with the conversation. Last year's trade show events or any of the events, strictly business over at the Miller Business Center, any of those kind of things. You know what? The question was, "Hey, how you been? What are you up to?" It's like, or, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a long time," or, "Oh my, you're bigger than what you look like on Zoom." And those kinds of things. It was just purely 80%, we'll say, social occasion on that kind of stuff. So that's where it's a little bit different. So hopefully we get beyond that, and I'm sure we will get beyond that at some point in time. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see these things come up. So there is a lot coming up, by the way, and that you have. What do you have? What is today's date? Today's May 18th. So May 18th. Let's see. Next thing coming up. I remember the day. So we got June. Oh, what do we got next week? Next Thursday is the trade show, the HIA trade show. So that's going to be a biggie. That's at the Brentwood campus, Suffolk Community College. It's the first time back there in a while. This is the first post COVID, hopefully post COVID, but first time there since we went through that issue. I went back at the school there. Will some people be wearing masks? Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. It's primarily indoors, where it's an indoor event. So there's a lot of air ventilation, crazy stuff we got to think about nowadays. Unbelievable. But what anyhow. So it's a very big room. Uh, I know they have four. Well, I know from what I saw yesterday, they had four booths that were still left. Other than that, sold out. That should tell you something. I don't remember them really announcing that aspect of it well, not last year, a couple of years back. But so just got a couple of booths left, maybe. You want to speak to Anthony Forgione about that one to see what is available. The pre-registration, all that stuff is exactly the same. If you want to go to the floor and you want to go there at the last second, you can pay your $10. If you go in advance or register in advance, you register for free, no more $10. That's fine. The vendors, if depending upon what they pay for, but the vendors have a booth, or the vendors have a booth, and they have access to all of those people that have registered. So they'll have your email address. So what's their difference, right? And if you're like many people that show up at these things, and please don't do this, you know, it's not your job to go and sell to the vendors. It's the job of the vendors to sell to you. So they'll have your name. At that point in time, whatever, you'll get the email from them and do what you're going to do. But try not to waste their time at the show. They paid to be there. You did not, or probably did not. So give them the respect of letting them tell you what their product service is all about, and then go from there. Maybe you could use them, maybe not. Maybe you could refer them, maybe you can. Maybe you do have something that can help enhance their business. You know what? I'm sure they've been happy to hear. It's not their focus that day. So keep that in mind. So that's the HIE trade show, which is taking place May 26th. June 1st, I believe it is, the Stony Brook Food Incubator, which is out in Riverhead. I believe it's considered Riverhead. It's in the Wading River area. They're actually having an open house, and that is from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. I should have this stuff in front of me. I don't. It was like kind of a last minute here, but the food incubator is having an open house. And how interesting is that? So there's something like 70 businesses that are actually inside that incubator, and that obviously they're all food related. Everything that's made in there is cooked in there, and I understand it correctly. Everything comes out of that thing has got to be a packaged food product as it comes out. But I think it would be really interesting if you are anywhere within the food, well, anywhere within the food business. I mean, let's take a look at this thing because it's not just food, right? It's just like anything else. Just like anything else. It's not just the food. It's the delivery of the food, the manufacturing of the food, it's the marketing of the food, all the rest of that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. So these are going to all be startup or starting companies. I'm not sure exactly how far along they can be before they need to move out of the incubator. It's actually a pretty good question. I have come to think of it. What actually qualifies you to use the food incubator at through Stony Brook? If you're a complete startup and you have no clue as to where you're at and the rest of that stuff, I don't know if that's there. Do you need to have some sort of a product business plan? I wonder how much they even get involved with that one. Probably, what I mean by that and get involved in it is, are they assisting you in writing that marketing plan, the business plan, the packaging? What does the package look like? There's another one. What about copyright? All of those kinds of things that go into it. So if you're in any kind of those businesses, let me tell you something. It might not be a bad thing for you to attend, right? Really might not be a bad thing for you to attend because if you are servicing a newer business in whatever respect, this could be an opportunity. The other side of it too is that if you have a James, afternoon to you, but if you have a deli, a restaurant, or some other place where packaged foods might be sold, you know, it's another one. You might be able to make a few different connections in there. Who knows? So marketing, Mr. Martinez, is a factor in all of these things. So that should be pretty interesting as that comes up. So that's in June. I mentioned before, June 14th. I'm at the Miller Business Center. So there, I know that the Melville Chamber of Commerce and the HIA have always got different things that are coming up. So there's something else to kind of follow along. My shul is actually having an event that's coming up, which is pretty interesting. I tell you, it's kind of fascinating what they do there. So obviously it's a temple, shul, and prayer services, all the rest of that stuff. It's Orthodox, let me put it that way. And I'm not sure exactly where I fit into that whole thing, but their way of looking at it is that if you're a Jew, you're a Jew, however Jewish you may be. In other words, how often do you practice it? How strict are you with everything? I'm not that strict. You know, I'm not that strict. Let's just kind of put it that way. I try to go when I can. Try to go when I can. I could be so much more to what I am in that respect. But so you get the prayer services. They also have something called the JLI. That's the Jewish Learning Institute. That is religious. That is an explanation of some of the prayers and the Torah beliefs and stuff like that and how that applies to real life. So let's say it's the practical application of the Jewish religion, and I'm sure every religion's got their own thing when it comes to these things. So that's the two aspects of it. Here's the third aspect of it, and this is totally open to everybody. Uh, it's a speaking engagement. It definitely is a Jewish thing, but it's not a religious thing. So they have this gentleman coming in who is now a rabbi, but he was not a rabbi all along. And no, it wasn't that he was a little kid and he grew up and he became a rabbi. No, not like that. Even the prior speaker they had in there, Shlomi was another one that he didn't have a clear path to doing what he's doing, and now he's traveling the world as a as an ambassador, the Orthodox ambassador. Crazy stuff, but he's going to all these different countries that not necessarily. He's not just going to Israel. Let's put it that way. He's going all around the world as the ambassador. He's been invited to sit down with and meet with different government officials at some very, very high levels. And who would have thought? I mean, if you met him earlier on in his path, who would have thought? You wouldn't have. You definitely not. This gentleman that's coming up, even more so, you wouldn't have thought. He had a bit of an issue with the legal system, and he saw the light, as with many people that do. You have problems, you get arrested, spend time in prison, something happens. Something happens. And then all of a sudden you turn the other way. He found religion. Many people have. There's quite a few at various religions that have found religion inside of the prison system. And healing, I guess maybe that's a word. And this is a question to ask too. Is it part of their healing process, just like others have found that by turning to other hobbies, like or other efforts? Comedy has been a big one for a lot of folks that have come out of recovery in one respect or another. They go into comedy. Make humor is making a self-effacing humor, making fun of prior situations, stuff like that. They get up there and they do comedy, and doing the comedy is a way of immersing themselves totally into something else. So this gentleman got into all kinds of trouble, drug dealing, things like that, all kinds of trouble, and now he became a rabbi. He's a rabbi over in Delaware. So he's going to be out here, speaking to us. And I'm not going to use the word congregation. I'm going to use the word us. It's totally open to everybody. It's $20 a ticket, and there's refreshments that will be served. Yeah, the food will be kosher. And I can tell you right now, no preconceived notions on that one, too. Last time I was there, we had wine and sushi. This is not bad. You know, Seems like most of my drinking actually takes place over there. Go figure that one out. I went on a doctor's appointment. It's like, do you drink? I was like, I sounded like a freaking comedian on this one. It's like, do you drink? Yes. How often? Every time I go to shul. It's not every time, but a lot of times. So anyhow, the so they have wine and sushi at the last one. I'm not sure exactly what this one's going to have, but so it's $20 a ticket, and he's going to talk about this path he was on. And who would have imagined that would have been the turn of events, going from what he was. Something happened when he was in the prison system to what he's become. And I'm sure he's got a really, really strong message that he delivers out. You know, there's a book that I was in too. And, one of these other anthology books. If I only knew then what I know now. Well, you want to know something? I really wonder if most of us would be where we are today if we actually knew then what we know now. I venture to say most of us probably would have made some fewer mistakes along the path, along that way. I'd also venture to say many of us would be further along in our careers and maybe slightly different careers than what we're doing if we only knew then what we knew now. We'd be different. Like to think we'd all be a little bit better and that kind of thing. And that is one of the reasons why I'm focused on that high school thing. Because if we were able to deliver that message in there, where the students are able to go figure out what it is that they're good at and figure out how to focus in on that, let's call it networking skills. If they're able to network on something that they're really passionate about, what do you think is going to happen if they're presented with something that's they're not passionate about, or something that's going to take them down a path that they probably shouldn't be doing? Choices are going to have to be made. Decisions are going to have to be made. I tend to think they're going to wind up making the better decisions than the worst decisions. We could translate that out to current day. We could translate that into what it is we're doing now. Heck, I could translate into some of the stuff that I do that's like I shouldn't be doing, like waste of time. How do you say yes to everything? Why should you say yes to everything? What about saying no to some things? Where is that line of what we should do and shouldn't do? Where is that line of what's not so much not in our best interest? Obviously, that's a big factor in there. But it's like, if I don't do it, what'll really happen if I don't do that? What really is the downside doing that whole thing? So decisions need to be made along the lines when it comes to that. But that's the events that are coming up. And should you go to every one of them? Probably not. you know, might you go to every one of them? Probably could. You can justify going to each one of them. The question is, what is it that you find to be of interest and what not? What do you wind up promoting for yourself to go and do? What do you want to be affiliated with or not, depending upon what's going on in your world, whether it be family, community, or business? Where is it that your focus should be placed as you kind of go through? I ask these questions to you because I'm actually looking at me. I'm going to look at me while I say this. What the heck should I be doing, or what it is that I should not be doing? As soon as we get done with this, I got a little project that I just took on not too long ago. Should it be done? Yeah, I tend to think this one should be done. I think it's important enough for it to happen. I'm looking forward to that. We'll put it together relatively quickly, but we'll put it together and we'll make it work. And that'll be fine. What other things should be done and not done? Well, you know what? We'll push them off to the side, as that goes. It's time efficiency and all the rest of that stuff. Here's another thing that you might want to consider too. And I joined a mastermind group. Meets online. I tell you, I'm one thing I've really gotten very, very cautious about, picky with the whole thing is the in person thing, and not really because of COVID. It's like just so much easier, more efficient, more time efficient to meet online than it is in person. And there are places to do it, and there are certain things to do. That trade show, to do that one online, no, it's too general in nature, I think, for that to be done online. If it was much more industry specific or much more about a learning thing and everybody was there because we're all there for the same exact reason, not to network, not to meet new people, but we were there to actually learn something, then it makes sense to go online. So they're probably going to do, the manufacturers will probably do something again later on this year that they did last year, is they have manufacturing day. They did that online. Let me tell you, that was really focused. They knew who was attending because it was very specific as to what it was. So the information that was delivered out through a number of speeches, it was all kind of covered. That's something that makes sense online. It's also so much easier for the schools to participate. Didn't have to worry about the busing the students over, time frame, things like that. And I don't know how much of that was recorded, but if it was recorded, man, all the better. All the better. The trade shows, nah, I mean, that's something to kind of go to. This way you go, meet people you haven't seen in a while, so it's the you never know kind of conversations, or the by the way kind of conversations that'll take place there that don't necessarily take place in the online events. That's still something that needs to be worked on. Maybe we'll have our own little avatars in there, and we'll have our water cooler, little digital water cooler. Just want to like kind of hang out and run into folks and have a by the way kind of conversation. So that can happen. They're more pinpointed. So they're going to be speed network. Actually, they're going to have a number of presentations throughout the day too. Ron Loveland, the manufacturing committee, is doing two. I know one in the morning that's focused more on the high schoolers. The other one in the afternoon focused a bit more on the college level stuff. And then throughout the day, he's got that job fair going on. These are manufacturers looking to hire people with various levels of skill, which goes back to where I think that the high schools that are offering different vocational programs are really strong, really strong. I think they really are setting our kids up for successful careers. because now the students are seeing what it is they like to do and don't like to do, what they're naturally good at, where that word just gets tossed into the whole equation. Boy, the more we could support that, the better we are. And I mean that. The more we could support that, the better off we are. Obviously, the student gets a job, has a career, student's better off. But the businesses, it's the same thing with the businesses. If you have a business, and Ron even mentioned this in there too, but if one of the businesses was very focused on working with the schools, always has been, they have a flow of employees coming over to them through the high school system, call it like a feeder system in that respect. And those students that are coming to them know the company, they know the personality of the company, the brand, that internal brand of the company. It's there, which is pretty obvious because if the company is participating with the schools, well, that is a company that obviously is participating in the community, that obviously cares about the local community, even if they don't do business here. They may build their stuff here, but they may not do business here. There's quite a few of those companies that are around, that are located here, that are building their products and services or whatever, over here, but their clientele is not. The clientele is not. So why do they participate in these different trade shows and things like that? Why do they go into the schools? Really should be pretty obvious as to why that is. They go into the schools because it's the right thing to do to support the community. The side benefit of that is that the students know them and they get those resumes as they come up. Why else should they be part of the community? Because they live here. They live here. They live, work, and play here. So you should. So I've seen many, many, many companies participate at many of the events that I'm at with the Crows and Colitis Foundation, at the walk. There are vendors out there. Some of the employees come down. They're supportive of the whole thing. That's great stuff. It's great. It's great community relations. People get to know the company. They like the company. Maybe they'll never buy a product from the company, but maybe they'll know somebody that's looking for a career at that company. So, you know what? You should reach out to them. They're very part of the community. Support the nonprofit, involved with stuff like that. And then obviously, if it's really something community minded, a green belt trail, quite a few of those that are out here. They sponsor a bench there for the Brookhaven cleanup. I got to post those photos up over there, or doing anything involved with some of the other events that are out there. Why? Beach cleanups, things like that. I guess they live here. It's good. You know what? The cleaner we could keep Long Island, the better it is, the more adventure, exciting programs, sports that we could have over here, the more relaxing stuff we could have here with the beaches, golf courses. So I'm not sure if I play golf. It's relaxing, another topic. But the more we have these things, the better and more well-rounded Long Island is, which means it's a better, stronger place for employees that are here, that want to stay here, or others that are coming in to work, live, and play here too. So, yeah, I'm a proponent of the whole thing now. And that's what that's about. That really is it. Kurt, good to see you, man. Yeah, don't worry. It's all recorded someplace as that goes. I didn't say anything nice about you today, so we'll save it for tomorrow when you're here. I said something nice about James. Man, it's all good. You guys should all connect too, by the way. Everybody should. Everybody that's looking to improve absolutely should. So, no, well, I'll see everybody here tomorrow, of course. And maybe I'll get those photos up. I took at the car show for the that was at the Miller's Ale House. Got to get that stuff together, and then we'll prepare for the weekend and next week, and so many things that are coming up. So, meanwhile, I got my little project to do. I'm sure you do too. So do what you do best, my friends, and that is speak well, speak often, and live inspired. You will inspire other people to do the same, whether you know it or not. Have a great day.